Wonder Woman issue 33, legacy number 833. Tom King writing with Daniel Sampeere on the art. So, yeah, not much of an explanation as to why Steve
nope.
is here as of yet. So, interesting.
I'm getting the vibe though that they did something with Diana or Trinity, or maybe a combination of both, went to the underworld and got him back, because the boatman to the River Styx has major beef with them.
Well,
and there's a fight.
Well, I don't think they went and got him back. I think Steve came back on his own, and that's why the boatman's got beef with him, because it definitely felt like this is the first time Trinity's seen him at the start of the issue. It's a whole like reunion type moment. Oh, she's never really met her dad. Oh, let's have her first hug. Like that's what that felt like to me. And then when they get to the river, Steve's like, oh, I've made this trip twice, and I assume that meant his time there and then the time back.
Time back.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's what they were going for there. But yeah, all very pleasant at the start.
When Steve puts his hand on the boatman and the boatman responds with a backhand, I don't know if I was supposed to laugh, but I did. It was just the timing here was like perfect. But yeah, Diana's so cool. I can't, no matter what timeline we're in, the way that she handles herself, and like here on the island is like, guys, we got to go to hell. And she cuts a hole into it and then jumps down and they start their adventure. And, again, she's just so cool.
Yeah. It cuts a hole to hell on the beach of Themyscira. And they all have to dive in after. Art looks really cool, and the narration here from the three characters who are narrating is like, oh, there's a few different ways into hell outside of the obvious one, which is to just be bad and die. Like, which is obviously the main way most people end up there. It's like, oh, you can do this, you can befriend a god as a lover, you can do this, do that. But like, the method we see that our characters are taking is to basically steal the boat and go across the river Styx to get there. And Zeus tries to stop them and is none too pleased with Diana cutting off a foot with her god killer sword. So
again, she is so cool. She just goes Zeus, and he does this just word vomit of, this is absurd, this defies the laws, and she just responds by cutting off his leg below the knee.
Yep.
And it's just like, and then oh, come my family, our time's short. And again, very very few words out of Diana. So
yep.
Yeah.
And there's a whole, there's Superman still held captive. He actually dies seemingly by the end of this issue from just over kryptonite exposure, and that sets some stuff up. They get the Cerebus. Diana kind of makes the Cerebus calm down and just kind of, sit like a good dog or dogs.
Just a puppy. It's just a puppy.
Yep.
Her affection and compassion knows no bounds, even to the hounds of hell that guard the gates. So I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yep. Bit of fighting with the. I keep avoiding saying anything other than boatman because I never know how to pronounce it. If it's Sharon, Karen, Charon.
Yeah, I've heard it Charon. I've heard it Sharon. It's Charon. Yeah, the boatman just makes sense. He's the boatman on the River Styx.
Yeah,
looking like death personified with or the Grim Reaper. But yeah, and Diana one punch KOs him after Trinity and Steve are having issues. So again, she is on a mission.
Oh yeah,
she's not going to be stopped.
Yeah, but she's very cold about everything though, because when they're on the boat and like Steve and Trinity are kind of having like some heart to hearts, she's not really getting involved. And Wonder Woman eventually chimes in and says, "We are not together. We are not anything." And Steve's like, "Oh, how can you say that?" And she's like, "Because you are as you always are, Stephen the Dreamer, and Lizzie and I, we are the dream from which you must now awake." And it's like, what is that? Like, he's the one who's dead, so why are you two the dream if he's like... So it's a very interesting way of phrasing it, which got me thinking, because I think my estimation, and this is also based on something I think she says when they get to like the three... the weavers of the world, is that I think she's trying to rewind the clock and like all this stuff that's happened, Superman dying, all the other Justice League members dying. I think she's trying to like turn back the clock and all of that. I think she's trying to fix the timeline. Was the vibe I was getting.
it is very Days of Future Past, where we're seeing them get ready almost to send, who was it? Was it Kitty Pryde in the comics?
Yeah.
To send Kitty back to stop whatever's going to happen. You know, the death that leads to what they're going through. And once I realized when they started, you know, we're getting the different color boxes for the narration, and there's 3 of them, and I was like,
because that was the slow realization over the last issue or two, was like, oh wait, there's multiple, because like 2 of the colors are kind of like, they're both shades of blue, so I wasn't noticing it too much with those, but then the some more brown one was coming in, and I was like, wait, there's 3 different colors in narration boxes. Who are these 3 people who are telling the story? And then you get like the 3 old women weaving they find in hell.
Yeah, the fates, right? So in Greek mythology, the weavers of the tapestry of life are these 3 women, and in most things they share an eye, you know. So I do think it's curious that like one woman has a monocle on, and the blonde one, you can see both of her eyes just fine, but the other one's wearing a brim, right? So they're still using some of that iconography. But yeah, all they do is weave. They don't really have a say in anything, right? And so when Zeus tries to stop Diana and them, it makes sense. It's like, you know, no, you can't go in there. That's not meant for mortals. Yeah,
and the line that stuck out to me, where I was thinking, oh, she wants to like reset the world, is Diana says, "You have weaved a world that should not be, and I am here to mend your error." So that to me sounds like we're going to fix this timeline so that all these bad things in this apocalyptic future where the matriarch's on top is going to be corrected, which is obviously how we explain how none of this stuff's going to happen in the future if all this, you know, succeeds. Right. But I do wonder though if we're going to get some sort of timey-wimey thing here, where if they send Trinity back, Trinity still gets to exist even though we never went down the path of like the stuff happening. So that could be neat if we go down that route.
Her and John as the time displaced kids. Yeah, you know, they have like a support group. You know, but the way that the matriarch flies off, right, when she's dealing with Superman and she's asking because he clearly knows what Diana's plan is. Right, and then when it clicks with her, and she, you know, when she realizes that he's dead, and her eyes get wide, and then she takes off. Well, the next time we see her, she's crashing.
Well, yeah, that's the big thing at the end, is that the fates are like, well, there's one more way to enter hell that we've not mentioned yet, and it's the most rare kind of entering hell, but that is simply if you're invited. And then that's when the matriarch crashes in, because they say to Wonder Woman, well, you'll have to deal with her first. And that's, you know, so it's almost like they have invited the matriarch because they don't want to have to correct the reality that they've weaved. Right. So that's the cliffhanger, is the big standoff of Diana and the matriarch. So it's an interesting issue because it gets into some more mythological stuff than I think I was expecting, based on, you know, what we've been doing in the previous like sort of build to this arc. But it is kind of cool though, because like you say, it's a very Days of Future Past. We have to fix the timeline because it's too messed up. And I wonder what justification, which I assume we'll get more clarification on, is to like, why is it messed up? Or why do you think that it shouldn't exist the way it is? Like, you know, did the matriarch do something to cheat, perhaps? That you know, it made her succeed in this? You know, did she use powers to do her own timey-wimey stuff that maybe affected something? Like, I'm curious to see. Other than just we lost and the bad guy won and is doing lots of bad stuff, I'm assuming there's going to be an extra layer to it. That
we know Tom King uses those layers to tell the story. In the early parts of the matriarch that we saw, is that her and Lizzie had this rivalry that only it seemed like the matriarch had cared about, right? Because Lizzie is like her mother's daughter. She's very compassionate, and in those pages, if I remember right, it is a one-sided rivalry where Lizzie wants to be friends with her, but this girl just has a chip on her shoulder and wants to be better than Lizzie. And so I'm wondering if it's that, if it's going back to the crux of who this girl is, if almost like they're trying to do she was just born this way and this is the ultimate, you know, and you know, that's where the patriarch had succeeded in creating her, you know, to follow that line. But yeah, there's got to be something that goes, because again, she's too powerful, right? She's got a Green Lantern ring. She's killed all of our known superheroes at this point, where it's almost like, again, to borrow another Marvel one, Old Man Logan, where the villains had won in that comic. Yeah, there's too much going on for him to just hand wave it away. So I'm curious to see if we get like an explanation through narration.
there's definitely gaps as to how she got this powerful, right? There's definitely gaps of how she ascended to this level of victory. So I'm assuming there's going to be something in there that makes it feel very justified, that like basically altering reality and turning back the clock is justified beyond just, oh no, this the world we lives in sucks, so we should turn the clock back, because that doesn't seem very fair, even if it's even if it is going to make a better world. It feels a little bit cheating in that sense. So I'm curious as to how we learn more about this and what the justification is for this course of action that they're taking. Well,
and don't forget, we've been leaning in on the compassion part of Diana, but don't forget, like, truth is also part of it. So I wonder if that part of that, like, this world is a lie, you know, and that's how she's going to be able to justify fate and whatever, and changing it is because this is not the actual truth. This is not how things should be. I wonder if that's what they're going along, because this is called the Wonder War, and I haven't had there hasn't been any like signs of war, right? So like, I just wonder. It feels like it hasn't even started yet. If I had to guess, you know, this all feels like prelude.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe the next issue where this fight between Diana and the matriarch is the start of the war itself. Yeah. It depends how you read it though, because if it's more of this sort of like ongoing Cold War, I think that also makes sense. Too. So, no, I mean it's another super fascinating issue. I think this feels like this issue in particular sets up a lot more like straight plot stuff, where it feels like, oh, I think we're getting a hint now of what the end game of this at least arc is going to be. But I mean, we know that I think King and Sampeere are back after that next little fill-in couple of issues that's coming up. So we're not at the end of the run yet. And if you told me we were building up to the end of the run, I would have probably believed you. But we got at least another arc coming after another little fill-in period. So I'm curious to see where we end up here. Like, is all of this going to set up some kind of like alternate trip to the past or something, or you know, and that'll be what the next arc deals with, or are we dealing with the matriarch by the end of this arc? I actually do not know. I could see this ending with the matriarch still being in play, this arc, and then, you know, it's the next arc that'll actually maybe build to the conclusion.
I want to give King credit. Like, she's too fascinating to just throw out now. You know, like, I kind of need more. I want to pick up that scab, because the things that we've seen her do, like we had that last issue where she kills the interviewer because she doesn't like the questions that are being asked.
Yes.
You know, like, you know, she has a Green Lantern ring. How did she get that? You know, so she's managed to kill every other main hero. So she's a big deal. And just to, again, hand wave her, throw it out. There's too much meat on that bone. So hopefully we get to see.
Yeah, and I think we will. At the very least, I expect an issue where we'll see some key parts of her past before things have changed, so we understand what the changes are. At the very least, I would expect. So, no, it's super interesting. I'm curious to see where this is going now. It's you know, it's pulling some interesting turns. I will say. Yeah. So. Cool, and then obviously the art here, as per usual, is great. I mean, all those panels of them in the boat with all the pretty purples and stuff behind them looks good. It makes it very ethereal, which you know, a boat ride on the River Styx should feel. Yeah, like Sampeere working with the colorist. The fight with Zeus, with the leg being cut off, all that stuff. So good. You know, all that looks great. He is the Lord of the Sky and Lightning, and she's just like, yeah, check out this sword. He just takes his leg. So good. Yeah. So no, interesting stuff. We'll see how that goes next time. What are you rating Wonder Woman 33, Matt? I'm gonna give this a straight 8. Yeah, I think I am too. I think the only thing kind of holding it a little bit is that it's not quite as immaculate in its structure and build as the previous arcs have been. These last couple of issues, but I think it's starting to take shape a little bit, though. I think like them getting to the fates and like her saying what she says makes me think, oh, I feel like I'm starting to understand where this is kind of going, and I'm excited to see how we develop that.